When one talks survival horror, it's difficult to imagine a situation where having a friend with you makes anything scarier. Unless your friend is a clown and you're in a haunted mirror house. Or your friend is a hedge-hating, axe-wielding gardener and you're in a hedge maze. Or your friend is a personal trainer and you're in a gym. God, that gives me chills. Yes, it seems a main dose of horror straight to the psyche is catalysed by the petrifying feelings of loneliness. The deep, constricting vines that hold you in the cold, dark depths of depression. The agonising weight that keeps you planted away from the embrace of a fellow human being. Not that I would know what that feels like, mind you. So when Stay Close openly touts its option for single player or co-op, I was certainly more intrigued with the latter and how they dealt with it. As a single player game, it can be considered a rather typical horror spectacle. However, since the mode exists, I want to focus on the co-op experience. The game begins in a rather small alleyway, given only a note on the wall to watch out for the mist. The game takes place in a rather small, darkened town square. Shadows surround you, and the streets look torn from some sort of riotous conflict. Now, to me, the setting is spot on. Things are already unsettling. The low murmurs of the low-noted music keep things tense, and growls echo from far away from unknown sources, just loud enough for you to hear. And then you turn around. This is what I'm talking about. When alone, your only company is yourself. Your perfectly, finely chiselled, muscular self. The mind tends to speculate. What caused all this ruin? What was that sound? Where will the monsters pop out from? Scary. Your own mind works against you. The issue is when you bring two minds into it, minds that have probably shared memories of trying to produce a fireball with a lit match on one's rectum, you start discussing how silly the player models look or racing around the map to a time limit. Suddenly things aren't as creepy anymore. Soon the game presents a man named Cyrus, who wrote the note on the wall in the alleyway, who speaks rather cryptically and then challenges you to answer his riddles. Bear in mind, this is a selling point mentioned on the game's store page. Interesting characters who will test your thinking abilities and judge if you're worthy to proceed forward. Sorry, does this look like the fucking Last Crusade to you? Interesting? Cyrus here is more akin to the judge of a school talent show rather than some mystical, spooky journey. Now, games that throw puzzles at you are one thing. Puzzles are meant to test you in ways that are fair and challenging. I wouldn't consider a riddle all that puzzling. You either know it, or you don't. To me, a riddle is pretty fucking basic when it comes to mental endeavours. Besides, check this riddle out. What's powerful enough to smash ships and crush roofs, yet it still must fear the sun? The answer, in-game, is ice. But it could also be Vampire Godzilla. It's unlikely to be, but it still could be. As far as the game goes as a gaming experience, I like it. The Unreal Engine delivers with shadow and decent texture detail. It's not going to bowl you over, but the inky darkness of each part of the town makes you rather on edge for most of your travels. The controls are simple and responsive. I'm not a fan of how left click is flashlight, the F key remains unused and is fitting enough for the role. The main source of fear from the game is the monsters. Now, I don't want to spoil too much on them, but the variety is rather limited. Besides, instead of them acting as patrols or hidden away waiting to jump at you in a corridor, they have very simple mechanics used to avoid them. For instance, one monster stays perfectly still when you look at them, but then charges you when you turn away. That being said, the designs of the monsters are utterly horrifying, and I must praise the way in which they're presented. Very well done. All in all, Stay Close is not a scary game, especially in the co-op mode. I'm sure greater devs than Blindbird have tried to inject cooperative gaming with a good rush of terror, but I'm afraid the concept falls flat here. The game was surprisingly compelling enough with its basic, rather repetitive direction it took for the story that it kept me and my friend playing for most of the night. We weren't scared, but we were having fun. And at £5.99 each, is that price worth it? I'm inclined to say that it is. The foundations are here, and for a brilliant style of game with workshop support for maps and monsters, Stay Close could become a cult classic. At the moment it feels a bit too much like it's in the alpha. There's not enough content, there's not enough story to keep you engaged. I'd love to see the community attempt to scare my mate and I while we are trying to make our characters shadow box. Don't expect greatness from Stay Close. but expect to have a laugh with a mate. I call it a streamer game, I call it a YouTuber game, something to be shared with a community rather than playing it on your own. Tentatively, and agreeing with the mixed reaction it got on Steam, I'll say give it a go, or at least look it over. You will like this game if you like co-op spooks, riddles, and the Weeping Angels. Stay Close receives an Indie Bin recommendation.